Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Do the Vikings have a KOC problem?
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I know how to scare any Vikings player. Just go up to him and be like, "Ooh, JJ McCarthy's hard count. Ooh."
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with Wide Left. The Vikings played worse than Sam sounds.
What's happening? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Hey, 2009 Bills, pop your champagne, your 9 false starts at home record. It's safe for another week.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Vikings Squad Show on a losers Monday. 27-19 Vikings fall to the Baltimore Ravens. Open season in the chat. If you want to rip the audio this morning, you are more than entitled to do that. Again, you met the Lukes, you met Arif, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. We do this on Mondays, we do this on Thursdays, we do this after the games right here on the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We've got to get into KOC, how culpable he is, how culpable JJ McCarthy is, the tipped balls, the false starts, all of the nonsense and the foolishness and the sloppiness that occurred yesterday. We also have nerdy stats, and we'll check in on that run defense licking its wounds after getting gashed by Ricard, Henry, Hall, Hill, et al. Yesterday. But before we get into all of that, a reminder that we are brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If that $5 bet wins, you can use that across the app. All right, let's get right into it. A lot of gripes about McCarthy, Luke Inman, a lot of gripes about the head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Where are you sitting in terms of the blame game? Is this more about the quarterback? Is this about the head coach, the play calling, and all that?
Yeah, Luke, Ron, and I talked about this ad nauseum last night in the reaction show, and that's probably got to be the new top dog as far as games KOC's going to want to forget. So many of the problems they had yesterday with the pre-snap stuff, it's got to fall on KC. It's got to fall on the top dog. It's got to start at the top. The type of stuff that has to start at the top, right? It feels like if it's one guy, right? Like if it's Ed Ingram time after time, that's an easy switch. If it was a Carson Wentz thing a couple weeks back, again, maybe that's different. But when it's 6 different guys with false starts at home, when it's things like you can't, hand off to your running back last week in Detroit, when you're not getting the plays in fast enough and your team gets to the line of scrimmage with 4 or 5 seconds on the play clock, it's 100% on KOC to start simplifying some of the basic stuff. And that's just the pre-snap stuff too. I mean, we talked about it last night as well. You get into the play calling, that's kind of another beast, another animal. He's got to look in the mirror and realize sometimes, especially with the problems they're having specifically week in and week out through 10 weeks of the NFL season now, simple is better right now. Simple is safe. That's not a bad thing either, just given what's going on with a quarterback that's only made 4 starts in his NFL career. I don't know if he got so burned the first 3 years, guys, when he's been here, that they couldn't, for the life of them, really run the ball on 3rd and short. It's just like ingrained in him now or what. But, even outside the pass on 3rd and short, 4th and short, they just aren't doing the simple stuff right now. And we talked about it last night again. Goes back to training camp. That starts with what you decide to put your 2 hours of practice time into every day. Too much window dressing, too much exotic pre-snap and post-snap things, way too many long developing double moves, not enough in-game adjustments to dial things down sometimes. I'd like to see that as well, but it's just too much. It's like he wants to play Madden on expert mode when really he just needs to go spend some time on practice mode, rookie mode, and master the basics first and foremost. So definitely think as much criticism as we can get into with JJ McCarthy. He obviously didn't have a great game. Trying to play on expert mode and have your quarterback drop back 42 times, again, making his 4th start. By and large, just the game plan has not worked to this point, and he's got to look in the mirror and put a lot of these struggles on himself.
Arif, we didn't get your take yesterday in the post-game show. Where are you laying the blame?
I mean, primarily with JJ McCarthy, I understand that there's a lot of things that Kevin O'Connell needs to do better, and I agree that there are a lot of things that he needs to do better. But I think the more we talk about the ways that O'Connell has to adjust the offense for McCarthy, the more it seems like we are navigating like a Byzantine path to find the one true game plan that can that can like figure out what. And the issue is that the quarterback can't do very much. That's the issue, right? And so, like, sure, maybe in some games you should do play action a little bit more often. Some games it's a bad idea, right? Maybe in some games you need to have more options available short. Maybe in some games that's a bad idea. But also, we understand the Kevin O'Connell offense to be explosive and have a lot of deep shots and stuff like that. But you take a look at all of the Kevin O'Connell offenses, all the quarterbacks that have thrown for him, which we have a fairly reasonable sample size for. And there's a reason that McCarthy has the longest time to throw and the deepest depth of target of all of those quarterbacks. It's not because Kevin O'Connell is suddenly calling the deepest passing plays for this guy. This guy is waiting and he wants to hunt for explosives. And we know that's actually not where he's best at. And so we talk about designing an offense that maximizes JJ McCarthy's strengths and minimizes his weaknesses. The quarterback himself is not maximizing his own strengths and minimizing his own weaknesses. He is choosing to engage in a play style that maximizes some of the things that he doesn't do quite as well. There are intermediate routes. Many of those intermediate routes are open. As the game continues, he throws less and less often with anticipation. We know he's got anticipatory throws in his arsenal. He does it, especially early in games, sometimes in the middle of games, and occasionally at the end of games. We know that he has that. But very often when he's attempting to throw with anticipation, you get the almost pick to Roquan Smith. Like, he's not doing it very consistently, and his intermediate throwing seems to have some level of a hesitation to it. And I don't know how you coach around that. And when we talk about stuff like the false starts, it's like we have talked about ways to improve the operational capacity of that starting quarterback a lot of times, and it seems like many of them are being implemented. It seems like already we're getting shorter play calls so we get to the line of scrimmage with more time on the clock. But now it seems like we're getting all these false starts after the game. Kevin O'Connell mentioned there's a lot of motions. I checked the amount of pre-snap motion is about average for a Kevin O'Connell offense, which is not to say he shouldn't reduce it, right? But what happens in 2-3 weeks when you reduce the amount of pre-snap motion to get rid of false starts, and now we've got fewer coverage identifiers for the young quarterback who could use motion to determine whether or not it's man or zone, or whether or not we're going to see a later early rotation. A lot of quarterbacks will use stuff like a hard count in order to get an understanding of who's blitzing and whether or not there's going to be post-snap rotation. And now you're taking a tool away from McCarthy so you can take care of something at the front end. Every kind of decision comes with a trade-off, and these trade-offs could hurt McCarthy. At some point, you can't adjust your way out of a quarterback who's struggling and growing. At some point, it's on the quarterback. Kevin O'Connell should run it more often on third down. Maybe there should be a little bit more play action. Maybe we should see a couple more options available. But also we talk about there's not responses to pressure. Well, responses to pressure are a complication you add to an offense, a new adjustment that you're throwing in addition to the play call, right? And that was an issue we are already having. So I don't know how many adjustments we're expecting the head coach to make.
Yeah, Luke, Braun, you said a few weeks ago, the Vikings are just kind of bad, right? And then they
are.
Tease,
they're just a bad team, and they're poorly coached.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to me, it's been above the quarterback because most of this stuff happened with Wentz too. A lot of this stuff happened with Darnold last year. The sideline was so disorganized that there was a huge moment in the middle of the season where they took Wes Phillips out of the booth and it made it so they could get the plays in right. But they've been a disorganized operation for 2 years now. I just don't think Kevin O'Connell has a very organized staff. I don't think that they had very good plans in the summer. Especially when it came to JJ McCarthy finally being able to practice again after coming off that injury. I get it. He couldn't work a lot on his mechanics in the offseason, but you could have done better making up for that. And I think that the operation in general is just messy. That goes to the special teams penalties. That goes to the sloppiness on defense. They almost blew this game, blew their chance to get that final 2-minute drive, and the drive didn't work anyway, so I guess it's a moot point. But they almost had a late substitution that would have been a 5-yard penalty that would have given the Ravens the ball kneel downs on that punt. Are you kidding me? It's November. Get your freaking subs right. High schools can do this, man. It's crazy how bad they are at just getting organized and getting everybody on the same page. I've said every week on Locked On Vikings this whole year how much better the Vikings would be if everyone knew what the play was every time. It's just they knew what they were supposed to try and do every time, but they do not, and that has been consistent across quarterbacks.
I don't know how consistent it's been when we talk about, like, obviously we had some play calling issues with Sam Darnold in at quarterback. Like, I'm not going to but like the fact that it has magnified so substantially this year, and I think it has magnified really substantially this year.
For sure with a young quarterback. But that has been a problem. Yeah, a problem that has magnified, but that means that, like, O'Connell, you suck at this part. Get better at it. That part has bothered me a lot. The fact that the Vikings are disorganized, you've got substitution issues, you've got sideline issues, you've got getting in the play call, you've had play clock issues across quarterbacks. All that stuff bugs me. That doesn't absolve McCarthy of the things that he has done wrong. But it's just a separate thing, right? And when you're trying to find a way to problem solve, okay, we've got 8 false starts. How do we solve that? Is it that McCarthy doesn't know how to do a hard count? I doubt that. Is it that
I think that there might be something involved with McCarthy here. Obviously, we had Carson Wentz with false.
I was gonna.
Okay.
Yesterday, if you missed the post-game squad show yesterday, Ron had an explainer for the one where, like, Darisaw and, was it Urasek, the tight end, both went.
It looked like Hawkinson.
I think it was Hawkinson.
It was a Hawkinson, yeah. That, like, they were in, like, a hurry-up situation, and when you're in a hurry-up situation, you expect a turbo snap count, you expect a quick snap count, so, like, any noise, you're going to go. And what a quarterback needs to do is they need to go easy if they're going to make an adjustment to the play, and he didn't do that. Okay, that learnable lesson, right? You can take that, you can run, you can get that stuff down, and, like, that's the kind of thing you can't get with, like, memorization, right? Like the idea of, hey, I see this front, I need to adjust the play, I need to call Oscar and flip it. You can do that in a classroom while you're rehabbing your knee, but my tackle is super amped up because we're in a comeback situation and it's hurry up, and, like, that feels like more of a practical experience. Like, you can work on build those blocks over time, but boy, you take away all the JJ McCarthy things, you still got a lot of problems on this team, and it goes up to the top.
I think that's fair. I think that, yeah, you take away the JJ McCarthy stuff, there are a lot of problems on the team, but I just think we're underrating how many of them are related specifically to the quarterback. Like, I know there's, like, a couple of people in the comments that are just like, man, Arif can't say anything positive about McCarthy, but, like, he is, like, the worst quarterback in the league production-wise, right? Like, there are a lot of positives to his game, and I'm willing to acknowledge them, and I think that he could absolutely grow, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I just think that it is pretty unlikely that you've got a new quarterback in who's previously had operational problems getting to the line of scrimmage on time, and you have 8 false starts at home, and he is somehow not a huge contributing factor to that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying that. He's not a huge contributing factor.
Yeah, and so, like, I think that the way that the operation works makes these problems more likely, and you should find ways to fix that. But it is just like every position false started, right? We had a wide receiver false start, we had a tight end false start, we had every offensive lineman except for, like, Donovan Jackson false. Like, like, that seems like it's not, you know, that seems like it's not just, like, some issue. And I wonder if, and this sounds so stupid, but I've seen coaches talk about this before. I wonder if he's just simply not loud enough in the huddle. Like,
I've been saying not enunciating, and everyone got mad at me.
Like, I think that that's playing a role. Like, that's one of the things, like, literally one of the things Zimmer liked about Teddy is the stupid fake deep voice Teddy had worked. Like, it just worked.
Best hard count quarterback the Vikings have ever had.
Actually true. One year he had more hard count, defensive offsides induced, as many as Aaron Rodgers on fewer snaps. It was just crazy, which was the most in the league. Like, it can matter, and it's just kind of interesting that, like, we're kind of there, and that's, like, one of many things that McCarthy has to fix.
I think KOC was onto something with the longer than the Bible play calls that send them to the line of scrimmage with 2 seconds on the play clock. Can't have a hard count false start in that situation. You just
that's on both of them. That's on both of them. You can't, like, you got to look at the play clock and understand, like, oh, I got to get the play out, but also, like, the head coach or the play caller in this case has to let you get there. And again, because he was able to put these play calls in with previous quarterbacks and get the play in on time, that's an adjustment you have to make for your young quarterback. That one I think is like a reasonable one you could put on the coaching staff, right? Where you could just be like, look, it's like when Zimmer was like, I'm not changing my defense for these 8 rookies. What are you talking about? Like, look, you have to. You made the choice to go with the young guy. Now that's part of the process. But yeah, they're compounding each other's errors for sure.
Nerdy stat about the false starts on the other side of this break and how punishing they actually were to the Vikings offensively.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Thank you for making us your first listen on this melancholy Monday. For your next one, check out Luke Braun on Locked On Vikings. He's got the full reaction as well. Off the 27-19 loss, Vikings are 4-5. Let's jump into nerdy stats.
Analytics fans rejoice.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Luke Inman set the tone. He had a good one off the top about the most false starts at home in, what was it, Luke, 16 years?
Yeah, 2009 Bills. I want to say Trent Edwards, quarterback in
It was Trent Edwards. I put it in my piece. I forget who they were up against. But yeah, 2009 Bills, Trent Edwards. And I had to figure out what game it was because it was a Kevin Seifert tweet that led me to it. I was like, I got to figure out what game it is. And that put me on a blast to the past because I saw some like Fred Jackson snaps in there. There's a Lee Evans
22.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, there's a Lee Evans false start in there. I was like, oh, hey, let's. I mean, I'm
Right,
sorry
it was
for
a
you,
fun
Lee Evans.
rebuild in that year's Madden.
Yeah, week 5 against the Cleveland Browns. It was Browns Bills Day. I don't know if anyone remembers that SB Nations bit, but Browns Bills Day, truly awful. It was like 6-3.
It's super cool that you can still do that bit with the Browns and just a different AFC East team.
There were 8 false starts by the Vikings yesterday. The Vikings did not recover on any of their first 5. Their first 5, they did not recover to gain a first down on the series. On their final 3, they were the beneficiary of 2 penalties that gave them automatic first downs. And then there was the 4th down touchdown to Jalen Naylor that recovered from the false start before that. Other interesting note on this, there were 5 false starts that occurred on 1st and 10. And many of them after really nice plays. Moving the chains, big run, big completion, false start. And if you're knocking KOC for the run-pass balance, I would note that it is a little trickier when you're starting 1st and 15 on 5 different occasions to run the ball. The Vikings ran it unbelievably yesterday. 7 yards a carry. But when it's 1st and 15, I think that closes up the playbook just a little bit. That's just so unacceptable to ruin momentum the way they did routinely over and over and over again. What other nerdy stats we got?
This was Lamar Jackson's worst game by completion percentage over expected since 2019. It was a game against the Seahawks. Of course, the stat I have goes there. Week 7, 2019 Seahawks. He had a minus 20% completion rate over expected. Here was minus 15.8%. His 6.1 yards per attempt was a 13th percentile outcome for him in that 7-year span. and a 5th percentile outcome over the last 3 years. So when he started playing at this obscenely high level, multiple MVP quality seasons, only one MVP, but multiple MVP quality seasons, this was his 2nd or 3rd worst game in a lot of these relevant metrics. So
couple bad drops, by the way, for Baltimore. Those first like 2-3 series, I want to say. I don't know how many drops they ended up with.
Yeah,
Andrews.
Yeah, Andrews had a real bad drop.
Likely, I think. Yeah, interesting. A-Dot, average depth of target among starting quarterbacks: 6 Drake May, 5 Jalen Hurts, 4 Matthew Stafford, 3 Tyler Shuck, 2 Sam Darnold, number 1 JJ McCarthy.
It's our guy.
Our guy.
Number one,
Hey,
and
good
it's not
company,
close,
man.
by the way.
Good.
Yeah, it's like 10.0 to 9.1. It's crazy.
Like ridiculous.
With a bullet. Number 1 with a bullet. Good company, though. Good company.
Wonder if there's anything you can maybe dial back on. But speaking of McCarthy stats, by Ben Baldwin's EPA and completion percentage over expected composite, which is my favorite QB stat, JJ McCarthy, 36 out of 37. Not dead last anymore, baby. Sound the alarms. We got a guy.
He heard me say he's the least productive quarterback. Like he immediately started going to Arby's.
Okay, I gotta leapfrog Dylan Gabriel.
Okay, I was gonna say who's worse.
Sound the horns, baby. Not last in the league anymore.
Hey, that's an improvement. We're on a positive trajectory, right? We were at -5.8. We're now at -5.2. Then we went to -2.9, I think, and now we're at -2.7. So
35 more games.
Well, the
number 1
Atlanta
in the league.
game was always going to go down as like once you added a few games, like it was going to chill that out a little bit.
right, yeah.
42 pass attempts yesterday, most in his NFL and college career. I think he had 37 versus Purdue.
Well, given the
243
discourse,
yards?
It
was a career day.
Yeah, 2023. I think.
given the discourse surrounding McCarthy, it is not shocking that this is more pass attempts than any game he had in college.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do
when you get
wanna-
handed the ball off to Donovan Edwards.
Like I think the kind of statistical picture is telling a really clear story, right? Of a guy that's throwing deep a bunch, clearly isn't as good at that as he wants to be, and they just need to like not go for the explosive as much. And I think that it is absolutely both things, that McCarthy is way too greedy. And like, for example, the first interception, you just shouldn't do that. You just didn't need to do that. You saw an inside quarter safety on the opposite hash and you thought you could like hit a post. Like, I'm sorry, this is not the college hashes. You just got to know not to do that. But also there's still a lot of double move. There's still a lot of, shot play type stuff that O'Connell just needs to dial up more of the easy stuff and a much more. He needs to be more QB friendly. He was supposed to be the QB friendly guy. He's not being QB friendly right now. He's chasing way too much, and it goes back to the O'Connell thing that has sunk him a lot in his time here. That he believes in his guys way too much, and he's not willing to admit that they aren't capable of doing what he's asking them to do.
His time to throw has not gotten any faster upon his return. It was
I don't
bottom
know if they wanted
5
to.
in slowest time to throw. Each of these last 2 weeks, he is 3rd slowest in the league this year, right behind Caleb Williams and Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, this is the slowest time to throw for any quarterback in a Kevin O'Connell offense too. Like this is it's like 3.3 something, right? You just said that. And I think Joshua Dobbs was 3.21, and I think we kind of all agree that Dobbs was not throwing within the timing of the offense, right? So it's closer to like the way that this offense runs when it's on time, the Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold stuff. That's closer to 2.87 to 2.97 in terms of time to throw. It is a wait for it offense. It's a deep developing offense. They are asking quarterbacks to wait a little bit longer. But both Dobbs and McCarthy are waiting much, much longer than the offense requires it. So actually, Luke, I do think that they do want it to go down. They do want the time to throw to go down. They just don't want it to go down as far as the average NFL offense, because they will wait longer than the average NFL offense for sure. But the amount of time we're waiting, and these are like the other quarterbacks we're talking about are either, well, obviously Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, whatever is going on over there, but a lot of these offenses are a little bit more play action heavy and rollout heavy, and that'll increase your drop back depth, that'll increase your time to throw. And we're seeing that this happens kind of regardless of how play action heavy McCarthy is within this offense. So the time to throw thing, I think, is is pretty relevant, especially because I think the offensive line in the first 2.5 seconds of each of these plays was generally all right. It wasn't great, but it was generally all right, and we still saw like a 38% pressure rate in this game.
I felt like this was the first game where I really saw some meltdown mode from McCarthy. Like things snowballed. I would argue
the
for
game got
one
away
and a
from
half 1.5 quarters. You pause that game before his first pick, and you would say, "Oh, this is good stuff. This is great stuff." He's making on-target throws. He's facing the blitz like one of the first couple throws of the game. Staring at Kyle Hamilton, about to obliterate him, and he hits Jefferson on the sideline. The nailer throw. He had another nailer throw. Like it was going very well. And again, I like the idea of let's be aggressive. Let's not use my legs as a crutch. Let's not always try to flee the pocket, trying to make plays downfield. But that's getting him into trouble. Is his hesitance, I think, to actually just run the ball for 5-10 yards, trying to avoid that punishment. I get it. It's in his head. It's gotten him hurt a couple of times. But he's got to take those simpler plays. And part of that's KOC drilling it. Part of that's JJ McCarthy making the mental adjustment. Any other KOC gripes from yesterday, just in terms of game management, the way that he dealt with the end of the half? Any other nitpicks you got into on the postgame show?
We mentioned this a couple of times, but Cody Foulin has been absolutely pounding the rock on this particular one. Yeah, they should run it way more on short yardage. Now, I don't actually...
Or
so
once would have been cool.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like,
you can do that. You know that you're allowed.
You're allowed to, and also the running game is like good now. I don't know if you've gotten the memo, but it's like it's kind of good now.
He can't believe it, man. He got so burned those first 3 years. He can't believe it. He can't trust it.
And I will say, like, KOC's answer to like, why did you throw on that 3rd and 1? And that was the one I believe that Justin Jefferson fell down on, and that turns into a pick. And like his answer to that is like, look, you got Justin Jefferson versus 0. I haven't watched it back. I don't actually think that's versus 0, but you've got Justin Jefferson 1-on-1. You want to throw deep, and I get that. I deeply empathize. But like, if you do that, you need to be prepared to go for it on 4th down. And typically, that would be my response to like, why are you doing this? It's like, oh, well, probably they're planning to go for it on 4th down. But also, this is like the least 4th down friendly team in the NFL, and so I can't trust that that's the plan, right? So like, if that's the plan, I love it. If it's not the plan, what are we doing? And also, that's not what happened on play. Why are we always passing on 3rd and 1? Like, I get why you did that specific throw and it went awry in a way where I'm not confident it's anyone's fault except for maybe Justin Jefferson's, because he kind of slowed down a little bit before he sped up, and that's how his feet got tangled. I don't know how much I want to blame him for that. A lot of people want to blame him for like not tackling after the interception. That is immaterial to the decision KOC made, right? That's the one where I'm like, okay, fine. But like, what about all of the other times that we had short yardage and we didn't run the ball? Because like, it just feels like, yeah, I think Luke, you're right. Like Inman, I think you're right. It's just he's so kind of caught up in how bad the running game has been historically that he doesn't realize it's like there for the taking. And it's not just like a high yards per attempt, which he is. It's also like a reasonably high success rate. Wait.
Yeah, you would be successful if you ran more for sure. Even if you just you don't want to run because you want to pass on, like, okay. But the pass plays that he's calling within that are also so needlessly complicated and difficult to time out and execute. It's, you know, a one motion and then a second motion and then a play action and then a throwback screen. It's like, oh my God, this is like a freaking nutcracker dance. And it's so hard to time all that out and get that executed. Run stick, like run a slant. If you must pass, do something with at least enough simplicity that you know you can get consistent execution. But the execution has screwed up, which almost, I think, allows Kevin O'Connell to tell himself, well, it would have worked if they executed it right. But like, your job is to put the players in a spot to succeed. And if you can't do that, then yeah, just like hand it off. You should be handing it off. Their success rate on that is way better than their success rate in passing. The Vikings have been really, if you want a season-long KOC gripe, they are horrible at self-scouting. They have no idea what they are good at, who they should be playing, who's good at what. They cannot self-scout at all. And that makes it really hard for them to make these kinds of adjustments. So I think they really do need I mean, they needed the Chargers game to be the come to Jesus moment where they realized that they're not doing stuff right. They came into Detroit with a very similar game plan, watched it work, and I think got emboldened again. I don't think they're learning these lessons.
Inman, I didn't realize that Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama signed on the Ravens on their defensive line because of the batted balls yesterday were so numerous. I assume there were some 7'6" NBA centers on the other side of the ball. How do we fix that problem? Because it seems like it all has to do with layering, right? The touch,
right?
Throwing the ball, like arcing the ball toward the target. That was a big. And he's gone.
We batted Luke down.
He was alarmed by the controversial nature of that question. When Luke returns, he can answer that. We'll also address the defense because they played a game yesterday, and they are bruised today from having Henry, Jackson, Ricard running it all second half on them. That's next. We are brought to you today by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier. Now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling's the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. When you unite your employees, your teams, your departments, that removes the bottlenecks, the busy work, and silos that your software previously created. So you're getting a lot more efficient, a lot more streamlined with Rippling. Right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnfl, rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply.
Software as a disservice is a banger. Just to let Rippling know that was a killer read.
Sad. 2 A's. SAAD.
Yeah.
All right. That felt like the Falcons game a bit defensively in that, and Arif laid it out. Their passing game was nothing special. A lot of yak, some good yak with Flowers, but really struggled in the red zone unless the Vikings gifted them the ball at the 20-yard line. And I again walk away not really knowing how to evaluate it because they were on the field a ton. They did a ton of good work early in the game. They held the Ravens without a touchdown until late in the third quarter. Like, again, the Ravens are going to run the ball. This is what they do. And they did that well, but I kind of still feel okay about the way the defense played leading up to that because they had you in that game, giving you every chance to try to build a lead and make the Ravens pass more, which they weren't good at, and the offense just couldn't do the Vikings any favors. So, Arif, you kind of laid out your view on the pass defense. Braun, what did you make of the defense yesterday?
It's because it's the Ravens. I think I had a fairly low expectation, and they cleared that. So it's like not the thing that I'm going to talk about the most this week. It feels like nothing much to write home about game. Like, you can't say they got the better of the Ravens, of course, but they got screwed with a couple of short fields, and it's still one of the most prolific offenses in the league, and you at least put a cap on them, kept the team in the game. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, no, they still had the completions over the middle of the field. They still had some run plays in super key moments that they couldn't stop. So I don't think they're all going into their rooms high-fiving, right, and celebrating and having a really fun film Monday, but it's probably quite a lot less fun in all the offensive rooms.
Yeah. Arif?
Yeah. I think that, so I looked at how the Ravens offense has performed when Lamar Jackson has been their quarterback, right? Because we have to account for the Cooper Rushes and the Tyler Huntleys and stuff like that. The various maladies that befall Lamar Jackson. And
yeah, like the Cooper Rush, we know the feeling.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the Vikings, I think, are scared of Cooper Rush, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they've been this year. They've been 0.10 EPA per play when Lamar Jackson's been on the field. 0.12 over the past 3 years, right, when he's been in this MVP mode. They averaged 2.67 points per drive, both this year with him on the field and over the past 3 years. And they held that team to 0.0 EPA per play and 2.08 points per drive. They held a well above average team in offensive output to below NFL average, right? And the only drive I feel like we're kind of disappointed in, obviously not the 23-yard touchdown drive that occurred because of the Miles Price fumble, right? That's not the one that you're that upset about. It's the one after, right? The 67-yard touchdown drive. I think that's the only drive where you're like really upset. Like, yeah, probably don't get into to field goal range as often as you do, but fine, right? But this team had 70 snaps on defense. Like, that is a much more tired defense going out there on that final drive than most defenses do in their final drive. And so, while I don't think that is an excuse, it provides us with some context. This was an above-average defensive performance against an above-average offensive unit, despite the fact that this offensive unit hasn't been performing as well as it had over the previous 2 years. When you account for that, even then, this was a pretty poor or lackluster offensive performance. It's just the Ravens had so many drives. That's why you end up with 27 points instead of 24, right? Or 28 instead of 20, right? Or something along those lines. So I think the defense at the aggregate level played pretty well. The cornerbacks collectively gave up like 50 yards in receptions, which I think one of them was a drop. So you got to be careful. But like 3 first downs, right? A lot of it, like you mentioned, is over the middle. I thought Cashman did okay. It's kind of everywhere else that you got some problems. But yeah, I think all of that is to say the defense generally, I think, did their end of the deal. God, Jalen Redmond had another outstanding game, especially the first half for Jalen Redmond. But man, goodness,
just keeps coming. Let's get a 3-for-1 from Luke Inman here, who returns. First question from Cody: can you play center?
I do have that flexibility going on. I do have that versatility. I would like to stay at guard if that's ideally in a dream world. Again, I can bump down the weight a little bit. Nothing I can do about the height at this point, unless there's new technology out there. But yeah, I can play center, and I'd love to do that. I would love to do that for this team.
Yeah, whatever the team needs, just where you're comfortable. That's 100%. All. Yeah,
he's a Swiss Army knife.
Free agent next year. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. You know what I mean? Put that stuff on tape, get it out there, and we'll go from there.
All right, before you departed, you were about to unload on the batted pass thing.
Well, I was just going to say, he yesterday especially, but really collectively through 4 start, he gets a little too juiced up, a little too he was trying to Nolan Ryan, it felt like, in that second half, that fourth quarter, every pass with his fastest fastball possible, and that's just not going to work down to down. In this league. They talked about that last training camp, his first training camp, trying to layer in those throws over linebackers, under safeties. Obviously, it doesn't help when you're behind the sticks and so many penalties yesterday. But his throws from down to down, too many fastballs, not enough layering, not enough touch, sailing throws high. His base still gets out of a little wonky, I guess, with that foot sliding out. We talked about that going into the season. But he just overall, sometimes he just looks a little too juiced up, a little too jacked up, maybe a little panicky back there, not trusting his eyes enough. Maybe things just seem very sped up for him despite how much time he's got to throw. And things just need to stay calmer, man. Calmer than what they've been, I guess, because it feels like the only way you can get there is by getting more reps. And that's the problem being a year and a half into your career, only having 4 starts on your resume, only having 2-3 full weeks of practice. He just hasn't practiced enough. He hasn't seen the speed, the transition from college to the pros, and he just hasn't had enough reps. And the early signs, the early indicators, like we've talked about, like Arif pointed out, they're not great. They're not what you want as far as like EPA and things like that. The trends show us he's probably not going to flip a switch and figure it all out, even by the end of the year. But mechanically, yeah, that was always an issue. They've tried to prioritize, or so they say. And the good news is we've seen some glimpses for sure. Bad news is once the bullets have started flying, the pressure starts to build. You're down 2 scores yesterday. Pressure's in your face. He just gets a little bit too jacked up.
I will say this about batted passes, if you don't mind, Sam.
Yeah.
We tend to see batted passes follow quarterbacks from year to year to year. Right, so these past 2 years, the league leaders in batted passes have included Caleb Williams and Bo Nix, and they've repeated it year to year, right? But we also know that quarterbacks can solve this problem. Justin Herbert was a league leader in batted passes in 2020. He was the league leader in 21 and the absolute leader by a margin in 22. And then it just kind of stopped being a significant problem for him. I'm not saying it went away, but it stopped being a really significant problem for him. And I think that we see this with quarterbacks pretty consistently, is that one of the lessons that they learn is about how to figure out arm slot while still maintaining velocity. So it's an issue, and I think it's primarily a quarterback issue, but it's definitely a solvable quarterback issue.
I can point to a couple other things that McCarthy's doing that might be causing this, because he doesn't really especially on a longer developing route. He is not going to be using that time to manipulate with his eyes, which is typical of young quarterbacks. But it means you're staring down the route, and so a D lineman can say, "Oh, that one's coming by me," so he can get ready to. His throwing motion is slow, which gives them time to get their hand up. And then, like Luke said, he's firing it with a super low trajectory, which actually means they can get their hand on it. He's kind of telegraphing where that thing's going to go. It's almost like all that conversation we had about, Kirk Cousins and the ball pat when he was getting all those batted down, that it gives a little bit of a hint that, that's going to come. So it's it is definitely, all of those things individually are fixable, but the list is getting long.
Yeah.
And then Inman, last part of your trio of questions, the defense. Are you bothered by the run defense yesterday against a very good rushing team? I mean, they did hold Detroit down the week before, couldn't do so against Jackson and Henry.
I think just big picture, by and large, I'm satisfied with the defensive performance. Again, just given who they were going up against, MVP, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry and company. I thought that Van Ginkel factor was in full effect again yesterday. Just between him and Cashman now fully healthy, snap in and snap out. Still curious about actually how many snaps Van Ginkel got yesterday. But so much football IQ and veteran presence, just this calm factor that clearly is just so needed. And you can see it obviously when they're not out there. And that's all pre-snap too. The post-snap stuff, Van Ginkel out there affecting passes, getting in throwing lanes. He knows when he's not going to get to the quarterback. It's a quick 3-step drop, whatever it may be, gets his hands up. He had some batted balls yesterday. Just adds so much to that front seven, and in turn helps bail out the secondary time and time again as well. But by and large, I'm satisfied. No turnovers again. I think they have 11 fewer turnovers than they did last year at this point in the season. Only one sack. But by and large, yeah, I'm satisfied against Lamar and company for sure.
Dallas Turner, 56.
Dallas Turner
56
almost
to 70, by the way.
Oh, it was. Okay, thank you. Dallas Turner almost had a good day.
I think he mostly had a good day.
Okay,
obviously,
almost had a great
obviously
day.
the sack penalty sucks, but
that's obviously what I'm talking about. Almost had a great day.
Yeah. But this is you can't pull it away. That's part of the performance. But this is one of his better games, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
Yeah, we might see him a lot, pending Grenard factor here on the injury.
Yeah, people are asking about Grenard. No update yet. Let's just hit this breaking news sounder because we've got some league news. Russell Wilson, my guy, got Brian Dable fired yesterday. and
it finally happened.
And
that's I think the second consecutive time a game against Chicago got a Giants coach fired.
Oh my God!
Was Joe Judge the last one? What was the one before? Or Patricia?
I think it was. Right.
Oh,
is he frozen?
He's frozen.
Okay.
He's so stunned by the news.
His mouth is ajar.
That's one coach who got fired for letting Daniel Jones out the building. Who's next?
Oh my God. Okay. I heard all of that, and I was frozen and I couldn't respond. But I was stuck in a prison essentially, hearing your takes without the ability to respond.
Well, we're all stuck in a prison of some kind. Go Vikings.
That is the next opponent, by the way, the Minnesota Vikings, who the Vikings have been accused of the fraud word before. The Bears are fraudulent. And I think the Vikings actually beat them next week. Have you guys looked at, I love doing this on Mondays. Have you looked at the spread?
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay. I've not. Guess the spread. I'm gonna say pick 'em.
I'm gonna say Bears by 1.
Also,
the vibes are bad, man.
By the way, it was Joe Judge getting fired after a Bears game, so that is true.
Incredible.
Um,
They had to do it because what is this? A fourth concussion evaluation? Like,
yeah.
It's not even about like the football at this point.
Including a harassment of the concussion evaluator.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is not about like the Giants are not the worst team in the league.
Right.
There are other coaches that probably should go before.
Yeah, but it's like, hey man, what are you doing? But also like the prophecy has been fulfilled. One of the concussion brothers finally got a verified concussion. The other one, of course, is missing a foot. The spread, I'm gonna go Bears 2.5 because people are pretty high on the Bears now.
Inman?
Luke?
I go pick 'em as well. Pick 'em.
We're all wrong. Vikings
We're all
favored
doubters
right now.
We
by
are
2.5.
doubters.
We are so doubters.
2.5?
2.5.
Vikings
are
favored by
favored
2.5.
Functionally, pick them on a neutral site, but they're just giving us more for home field.
No, the Bears have way too much nonsense going on. They're winning games 25-24 with late miracles. Colston Loveland getting loose. Russell Wilson, handing
surely
it to them on a silver
They're like
platter.
squeaking by bad teams too.
But surely winning games by a little bit is better than losing games, right? Like
Well, it was a one-score
People maybe
game
are just
yesterday.
not giving them a lot of credit for squeaking by like the Raiders and the Giants.
No, I get it. It's just maybe I'm more pessimistic about the Vikings, but like, yeah, obviously the Bears are bad. I was just like the Vikings are.
It's not great. It's not great. Party Foul's next on the Squad Show. We just checked out that line at FanDuel. FanDuel gives you all the lines, all the over-unders. It's NBA, it's NFL, it's NHL, it's college football, it's everything. Live wagering options available. Same-game parlays are a lot of fun. If you miss the start of the game, you want to bet the comeback, that can be a ton of fun in basketball as well. Comebacks happen all the time. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up and play with FanDuel. Official sports betting partner of the NBA. Make every moment more at FanDuel. How about a little party fouls on a Losers Monday?
It's time to tell you who spilled their proverbial drink on the sofa. Get ready for this week's party foul.
Luke Braun, take it away.
Sweet. I get to take Adam Thielen. Calm down, buddy. You were so very wrong on that blindside block thing. You are not allowed to do that. Why were you so hot about that call? You are like the oldest guy on the team, except maybe the long snapper, and you're the one acting the most childish. Calm down, grow up, and maybe learn how to catch the ball. Come on, Adam.
Learn how to catch the ball is crazy.
Did he comment?
Does he lead the league in drops per target? Like, it's horrible. His year has been insanely bad. He does not have the right to act like he deserves anything. Retire. Out. Gone. You're done. Hang him up, and we'll enjoy your halftime Ring of Honor ceremony in a few years.
All right, I got one. I know, Sam, you love it when I touch these topics, but Donald Trump appears on the Fox broadcast with Jonathan Vilma and Kenny Albert, right? And here's the thing. I actually don't have an enormous problem with that in, just the general whatever. But then they ask him a question that obviously will have a political answer. He provides an answer that is deeply entrenched in politics, and they don't have the tools to respond to that because it's Jonathan Vilma and Kenny Albert.
Vilma's just like, how can I get him to say 6'7"? How can I slip it in?
And the thing is, Trump starts talking about football. Now he says your quarterback as if the announcers care about the Commanders and whatever, right? But at least he's like, yeah, I think this quarterback's pretty good. He gets hurt all the time, and that's honestly a take that works, right? So just why didn't you just keep it to football? You know how much I don't care about stick to sports, but if you choose not to stick to sports, at least have the facilities to have the conversation. So this one is on Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma for interviewing the president and asking about the state of affairs of the country.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
They teed him up, man. Yeah.
Kenny, so I play by play on the side. and I've been in the on-cam situations where you've got someone who's new to the booth, who's not really part of the booth culture, and you have to interview them and on camera, and they might be awkward. They might take you in a different direction, and I could just feel Kenny's uncomfortableness because this is the president, and he knows that 50% of the audience is like, oh, I love this guy, I hate this guy, and I felt bad for Kenny Albert, to be honest with you. I thought Kenny was in a tough spot there.
Yeah, 2 millionaires and a billionaire. I think everybody's doing fine in that booth. I think all those people are going to have perfectly happy Christmases.
Yeah, I cringed when Kenny was like, hey, can you do the play-by-play? And Trump obviously couldn't because he was just like, this is an important play. Yeah, we got another important play. See, I was right, it was important. But that's like better than him potentially, I'm not going to take a stance, right? Him potentially misleading people about the nature of how things are going politically, as it were.
Hear me out.
That's better.
Hear me out. What if we all act like Trump did a really, really, really good job, and he's like, maybe my future is in a play-by-play booth? And
like with Aaron Rodgers in Jeopardy? Like we tried that.
Yeah. And be like, maybe politics isn't what I want to do with my twilight years,
Sure, yeah. Let's get him into the booth.
We could probably get him to do it. Does anybody have like an AI video of him doing really, really, really well?
Yeah, we could, yeah, I mean, and he would retruth it or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think this is a great plan, maybe for I don't know, Luke Braun, everydayer content.
Sticking in the booth, party foul on Daryl Johnston, gushing, oozing over Patrick Ricard or any fullback every other snap.
Wow,
I got it.
When you got a bit,
I got it
the
first 3 times. Dude.
Yeah.
I get it.
Although it was rough because like the next play, Ricard took a huge L.
Yes,
Eric Wilson.
Sorry, Moose.
How about just party foul on the Vikings at home this year? I know the Cincinnati game happened, but the other 3, ugh.
Yeah.
We're always trying to pinpoint like what are the vibes, like which season does this remind us of? That was kind of 2023. Like they had a lot of stinkers at home. But also this team, can you catch a batted ball in the air? Can you get under it? Can a ball that's ricocheting through the clouds ever fall in the hands of a person wearing purple?
How many times did they get close? Like 3 times? It was so agonizing. And it's like, I don't blame any of the individual players on individual plays, but collectively, at least one of these turns into a turn. Like, okay, Josh Patelis, you weren't close enough when that ball careened towards you. That was a difficult dive, I guess. But, like, come on. All of you? All the time?
And you've got fumble, like Flowers had one that hit the turf. You had another running back, I think it was Keaton. What's his last name?
Keaton Mitchell?
Mitchell dropped one out of bounds. Like, yeah, the ball is bouncing so poorly. And then you've got Miles Price. His knee is like this far off the ground, and they knock it out.
Hey, this is what Braun and I were talking about when we were concerned about him being installed as the kick returner. The guy plays shenanigans with the ball.
Yeah.
He makes some really dicey catches, too, like on the punt in heavy traffic.
And with that, like a good kick return average has this like incremental advantage, and it's real and it's representative, and you can see how it affects scoring and stuff. But it is so like it has to add
fragile
up over so much time that one fumble undoes all of that, which is why
very fragile. Yeah.
It is often preferable to have a really like a Brandon Powell, right? Really conservative, catches it clean every time.
A Marcus Sherrills.
Yeah. Marcus Sherrills kind of had the best of both
until the end, right? But Marcus Sherrills had a pretty bad punt return average, and then it got a lot better, and then they cut him, and then he came back, and he was also not safe.
And that like lack of ball security will undo 20 decent kick returns. Like it just takes one. So like safety is paramount there, which is why I was a little bit like, hey, you want to maybe look at the waiver wire or maybe do something at the deadline or maybe do anything at all. But this goes back to the theme. The Vikings do not know who is good on their team.
Hey, Kene Nwangwu, touchdown, by the way.
Laquan Treadwell still making plays.
Yeah.
Really?
Treadwell.
Okay, I'm not going to hold that
who
one against
lasted
him.
the longest out of that wide receiver class? Michael Thomas,
Yeah.
Corey Coleman.
Yeah, Treadwell got a killer. What was it? Special teams tackle, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and like I was in the stands, right, of the Ravens game. People like Treadwell's still around, and I was like, dog, you guys have no idea.
This
guy's
Colts
elite.
are Viking South over there. Cam Bynum.
You're 10,
Luke Inman,
wow.
do you have
Daniel
gambling
Jones.
results from yesterday? I know
You want,
that I was.
you want these gambling results, Sam?
No.
You
I
want
don't.
these?
I missed on Jackson by 1.5 rush yards, and Flowers was the other half of the parlay, 1 catch short.
Yeah, we
It's-
went 1-8 yesterday collectively. I
my
believe.
gosh.
I believe.
One-
So here you go.
1-7 it would
Arif
be.
Addison, 40 or more yards. That was at -174. A medium bet. for
Minus
400.
174 miss.
I liked it. I think I did some with Edison too. Braun Lamar rush over 37.5, max 700 at -114. You had your 2 parlays you mentioned. I had Ravens to win by 1-6. I was a 2-point conversion away from that. Plus 260 at max 700. That feels really good. Braun Addison over 47.5. That was also a max. So at -114. So he got the lone victory. And then Braun -114. Zay over 64.5. Oh, sorry. Luke,
That's
that's
the
me.
one
That's
win.
Inman. That's Inman. That's me. Addison over 47.5, max 700. Braun, Zay over 64.5, -114 at 700. And then Arif took Lamar 50+ rush yards at +188 for $100 minimum.
Did not connect on that one. Tough day for the boys.
Not great.
We told you not to tail us, so that's
Yeah, anybody who's tailing me at this point, you deserve it.
So I think I'm at the stage where I have to add legs to the parlay every week.
Only logical step.
Yeah,
right.
Just kind of keep compounding.
The classic
There
Compounding.
isn't 9 more weeks to go or something.
The
You keep
classic
chip away.
gambling advice is to add legs to the parlay to chase your losses.
The
It's gonna
worst
be
mood
so
you're in, add
epic.
more legs to the parlay. It'll cure what
The
ails you.
worst mood you're in.
So epic.
You're
Brought to you by
Sam, you're
FanDuel.
due. You're due.
You're due.
That's how it works.
Yep.
Just keep spinning that wheel. We're back on Thursday on the Squad Show. We really appreciate the viewers, the listeners, the subscribers, getting Locked On Vikings to over 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Luke, and Arif. Check out Locked On Vikings, and thanks for tuning in here on the Squad Show. Ron Johnson Show tomorrow.